Welcome to the Richard Lloyd USA YouTube channel. I'm Richard Lloyd. Today I'm making a video on rescuing TP-Link routers. I've made many on the TP-Link router, but TP-Link has a default rescue procedure for all their routers. I've got one here. This is one of my TP-Links. I actually have three, and all three of them rescue the same way with something called TFTP rescue, and it's built into the TP-Link router just in case something goes wrong, so that their service techs can actually walk you through the process of basically manually reprogramming the firmware into your router. So I'm going to show you that procedure that they use on most TP-Link routers. I also have other router videos on TP-Links that show you how to do a serial rescue of these devices, but they're specific to each router, so it's not generic across all of them. And I want to put a caveat in here that to tell you that this rescue procedure that TP-Link is built into these routers does not always work, and does not always work on all their routers, but it works on many of their routers. So give it a shot. I've got three of these TP-Link routers, and I'm going to show you in this video how to figure out how to get the correct firmware file to put into these routers to make them work. And you'll see what I mean as you watch the video, as every TP-Link router requires different file names to have it be rescued. And I'll show you how to get that file name from the router itself, connect it, and you do the procedure. And again, I'll do it on three different routers so that you can see what the procedure is. And therefore, if your router is different from this one, you'll still be able to figure out how to do it just by following this video and my instructions. In order to rescue your TP-Link router, you're going to need firmware to do that, and a piece of software that's called a TFTP server, and we need to put that on the computer. Now I know your router is not working. How do you do that? Well, I'll give you some suggestions. A couple of them you can use your cell phone for. If you have something like an on-the-go adapter like I have right here, it's a USB-C to USB 3 adapter. It can plug into the bottom of your phone as such. You can download the file on your phone, then you can plug a USB thumb drive into the on-the-go adapter cable like so, and then transfer the file from using your file program from your phone to your USB thumb drive. That's one way. Another way you can do it is, and actually they make straight on-the-go thumb drives like this that you can plug into your cell phone and go straight through on it. But I'll put links to that stuff in the video description below. They're paid links, affiliate links. So again, if you use those links, it doesn't cost you any more than just going straight to Amazon or eBay, and it gives me a little bit of a portion of the sale every time, or commission on the sale every time you do that. So you help me out, and it doesn't cost you anything. So I appreciate if you use the links in the video description to buy that stuff. Another suggestion on using your cell phone: if you have hotspot, or you have a hotspot capability on your phone, mine does, turn on your hotspot and then connect your Wi-Fi to your hotspot on your phone, and then go to the websites that I'm going to show you to go to get the firmware and the software for your computer, and download them directly into your computer using the hotspot. Now, hotspots are using cellular data, and if you don't have a plan or whatever, just make sure that they're not going to charge you a lot of money for that data, because data will be flowing through your phone to your computer. So again, be aware of that. That's, second alternative. Third alternative is something I call SneakerNet, and it's been called that for a very long time. What you do, take your thumb drive, go to your friend's house, and plug it into their functioning internet, or a Starbucks or something, take your laptop there, and plug your thumb drive into your laptop or their computer, download the firmware onto the drive, and the TFTP installation program into the drive, bring it home, and plug it into your computer and do the following procedure. So I'm assuming that you have some sort of access to the internet. Of course I do, right down here on my network icon. So I'm connected. I'm just going to go to the websites to go get this stuff. Now, first thing we're going to need is firmware for your router, and that's very important. On the back of your router, this one has it right here, it will tell you your model number, but it would also tell you your version number. It's very important that you get the right model number and the right version number, because you have to pick firmware that suits that router and that firmware. So in this case, this is a TP-Link WR841N, and it is a version 9. Okay, so we're gonna go get the software for this, the firmware. Sorry, let's go get that. So just here, everything here is going to be TP-Link. So we're going to go to TP-Link, TP-Link. Just type in TP-Link into a Google search. There we go. TP-Link Wi-Fi networking equipment. We're going to go to support, of course. And then here we're going to go to Download Center. And you can choose whichever router you want. I'm just going to go here and type it in. It's WR, in my case, 841N. In your case, it's whatever your router is, but for TP-Link, it's the same. Oh, let me go back here. Sorry. For TP-Link, it's this. The procedure will be the same. But here, mine is an 841N, and there's an N and an ND, but I'm going to go with the N. And as you can see here, please choose your hardware version. Well, mine is 9. You choose yours. And then it updates the page to the proper links. Here we're going to go to firmware. Now it gives you all sorts of warnings about firmware. Use the right one, make sure you're using the right version, on and on and on. So I like to, on router recoveries, to use the oldest firmware available, because I find it's usually the most compatible. And then once you have it installed, you can easily just update it from there by coming back here, downloading the latest firmware and installing it on the web page, the configuration web page. So again, that's another issue, another video, and I have videos on that. And I may make a video on using the hotspot on your cell phone to get a firmware file, because that's very handy. And there's a bunch of files here, starting with 401, as you can see here, 310 and 104. So I'm going to take the 104, click the download button. I'm going to put this in my download directory, make a new folder. We're just going to call it WR, actually we'll call it TP-Link. TP, just to be organized. There we go. We'll open that up. I'm going to create a new folder. This time I'm going to call it WR841N, and it's a V9, so we'll just put V9 in there. I know, just to be organized. So here we go, and hit save. Now this is a zip file, which means it's a compressed file. It needs to be uncompressed before your router can see it. Okay, so let's go do that. As you can see, it's download here, and I'm using Firefox. If your browser doesn't do this, just go to the file folder where you put it, double click the folder, and like I'm doing here, opens up, and you can see here that I'm in downloads, TP-Link WR841 version 9. So I'm just going to go back here so you can see what you would see in the folder view. And you can see that there's a file here, but it's got a zipper on it. That means it's zipped. That means it's compressed. You need to uncompress it. So in order to do that, highlight the file, and then up here, click on Extract All. Okay, and just go with the defaults that come up. If they don't look the same as mine, make them the same as mine, and then hit Extract. Right. Well, actually, whatever your defaults are, just make sure the check marks are the same. Right. So here you go. Now we've got it extracted. So let's go back to the previous view. Now you can see that I have the zip file here and a folder above it. Well, the folder above it is where the file actually is. This is a compressed file. This is a real folder with a real bin in it. You can see they created a secondary folder in here. So we're just going to double click that. And there it is. And it tells you how to do it, how to upgrade the router, and so on and so forth. But what we're really concerned about with is that we have the BIN, or the binary file, right here. Okay, so we've got the binary file. That's step one. Step two, we're going to do a search for something called TFTP. Actually, let me do this differently. That was a bad search. TFTPD. Let's call it that. There we go. And again, it's an open source program. So let's see if this is the right link. It is. So this is the TFTPD 64. Okay. Now, okay, let's just go get that. It's TFTPD 64. Go to it. It doesn't really matter if you use this version of TFTPD or not. There's a 32-bit version too, and it will work as well. But again, as you can see here, the 64 is provided as a Windows service. The 32 is the same application, compiled as a 32-bit application. Doesn't make that much of a difference. Anyways, what we're going to do is go to the download page here. And as you can see here, we've got a 64-bit and a 32-bit, right? If the 64-bit version doesn't work for you, download the 32-bit, and if that should work for you. If either one doesn't work for you, there's something wrong with your machine. So go use another machine. So we're going to go here and download TFTP64 setup.exe. Not the zip file, because then we got to uncompress it and all that. This is an uncompressed version. It's slightly bigger, but it doesn't really matter. So double click it or click it, and then it's going to download. Yeah, we can put it in the TP-Link directory here. I'm going to put it right here. And it downloads TP-Link, as you can see up here. And then we're going to hit save. And then the next thing we're going to do is install that program, right? Now I'm just going to go to the file browser and go basically, the complicated way. But anyways, TP-Link is where it is under downloads, and there's TFTP64. So double click that. And, again, if you get this, just hit run. And then you're going to get a pop-up saying user account control, and say yes. And then we're just going to agree to the European license, union license, public license. I'm going to hit agree. And then we'll just go with all the defaults. Click next. And install. And that's it. Here we're going to close it. Now you see down here that I have a link to TFTPD 64. That's the next step. Actually, well, it's one of the steps anyways. But, and if you want to see it, just open it. Now notice that here when I open it, I got Windows Defender firewalls block some of the features of this app, right? We don't want that. We want it to, by default, that's what a firewall is supposed to do. It's supposed to say, hey, whoa, wait, this thing's communicating to the network. We don't want to do that unless you want it to. So here we're just going to click on both boxes, make sure there's a check mark on both private and public networks, because if you don't, what happens is it blocks the app from doing anything, and you won't be able to transfer the file over to it. So check them both off. Click on allow access. Don't close this off without doing that, because if you do that, it just automatically stops it. So hit allow access. And if you don't see this window, well, then really don't worry about this. See if the actual program works for you or not. If it doesn't, you're going to have to go into your firewall and either find out where the settings are to allow this to happen, or and disable them, or allow it somehow. Now this is not the only firewall key that people have on their machines. Their antivirus suites sometimes have firewalls as well. So if you can't get TFTP-D to send the file, more than likely it's firewall related. So check into that, or use another computer that doesn't have it. That's probably the easiest. Now hit allow access here. Okay, now TFTP server is just sitting there waiting for something. So we'll let it sit there and wait, because the next thing we need to do is connect the router physically using an Ethernet cable to the LAN port on the back of your computer, which should look like one of these, maybe not colored like this, but the same shape. Okay, and the plug should go into it and fit snugly like it does in the back of the router, just like that. It should click in when it does that. Make sure it's clicked and locked when you put it in, because otherwise it may not make contact. So plug that into the back of your router. If you don't have an Ethernet adapter on the back of your router, on the back of your computer or your laptop, get yourself a Ethernet to USB adapter like this one, and plug that into one of the USB ports in either your PC or your or your laptop, and off you go. So basically in that case you would, and there's what usually they look like on the back of a computer, and plug it in, click it in, plug it into your laptop, and then you're connected to the network. In this case, we're going to plug it in, an Ethernet cable into the back of this, into one of the LAN ports, not the WAN port. In this case, this is, you can see that it's blue here, but internet is the blue port or the WAN port. We want the LAN ports, which are one of these. All right, plug it in. Now we're plugged into it. Next thing we're going to do is, you know, plug the power into it. Let's see if I got that around here somewhere. There we go. And test for power. There's power. Okay, so now that's ready to go. Now, we're almost there. Next thing we need to do is configure the network for your computer so that it's on the right IP address, because the router, when you initiate this process, the router goes and says, okay, I want a firmware file and I want it from this computer on this network. So we're going to put your computer or this computer on the network this router wants to talk to. So let's do that. So down here we've got the network icon. What we want to do first is, if you are connected to the internet, you want to disconnect your Wi-Fi. You don't want this router being on, this computer that you're using being on the internet or anything else. You want it to be strictly connected just to the router, and that's it. So we're going to do that next. Right click the network icon down here, open network and internet settings. And here we're going to go to Ethernet. Now at this point, you don't know which one you're connected to, but I'll show you how to get around that. Next, we're going to go to change adapter options over here. And you see that I have 4 networks. All of them have a red X through them. Okay, so once I turn on the router, that's all I'm doing is just turning it on. You can see that one of them changed. That's the one we were connected to. So, and it says unidentified connection, probably because I don't have it set up right. But here we're going to go to properties. So what you're going to do is click on the one that's not red, had a red X on it, right click it, choose properties. And you're going to get this Ethernet properties window. And what you're going to do is go here to TCP IP v4. Now, this is how you should find it. I'm going to hit OK here. Obviously, I've prepped for this video. So double click this. This is how you should find it. Obtain IP address automatically. Obtain DNS server address automatically. Okay, we're going to click on use the following IP address, that radio button. And here we're going to type in 192.168.0.66. Now you don't have to put the dots in, they're already in there. So it's 192.168.0.66. You have to use that number exactly, okay? If you don't use that, then the router won't be able to find your TFTP server. So we click on the next window, the subnet masking. You can see that it automatically populates that. So after that, we are actually done. Now we got to come back here at the end of the video and set these back to normal so that there's no issues with networking later on. So here we're going to hit OK. And normal would be obtain automatically on both of the radio buttons, which would be up here and up here, right? But we're not doing that right now. Just hit OK. Okay, so now we've got the network set up correctly. Next thing we need to do is get this router to ask for the file, because we don't know which file the router is going to be asking for, because, just because I have a WR841 doesn't mean you do. And if you have whatever other router you have, like a, this one, which is a TP-Link as well, and I have an Archer C9 as well, it will ask for a different file every time, which I don't understand why TP-Link did it that way. I would think, I think it's safety, but regardless, I'll show you what I mean here. Okay, so on the back of your router, you're going to have a power button, of course, right? And on the other side, on this one anyways, you have 2 buttons, a WPS and I think a reset button. We want to hold down the reset button and turn the power on and wait 5 seconds. Okay, so I'm going to show you what it looks like on this side. Hopefully I can see it happening. Anyway, so I'm holding down the reset button. It's connected, power, all that. And let's go back here. Well, you're not going to be able to see what we need to see. Okay, I'm jumping ahead a little bit. But anyways, here's back to the TFTP. We're about to do it. TFTP server program. Here we're going to go to the log viewer tab, and that tells you what the TFTP server is doing. So once again, reset, power, and about 4 seconds, 4 or 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let go of the button, and there you go. You see that the TFTP program is populating with information. Okay, all right, and you know, like I said, just follow these directions like I'm showing you in step-by-step process, and you'll be able to do it. Okay, so now you have a bunch of, you know, what would seem gibberish, but it's not, but information on your TFTP program. What you're going to do is hit copy. Then we're going to go down here on the search window, and I already have it there, but what you're going to look for is Notepad. Okay, and you're going to open up Notepad, the app, and then here we're just going to right click and choose paste. Now you could use the control key and the V, the letter V on your keyboard to achieve the same thing, but I'm just going to paste it. Again, so now you see that the information from this window is now in here. Now the reason for that is because you can't copy an individual piece of information off this window. You can only copy all of it. That's why we're doing it this way. But now you see over here that a connection was received from 192.168.0.86. That's the router. And that it's looking for a file called WR849v6 TP_recovery.bin, right? That is what you have to call your firmware that you downloaded off the internet. So we're just going to highlight that again, right click it, choose copy, go back to our file folder, and as you can see, we're in downloads TP-Link. So we're going to go to where we put the firmware right there, major subdirectories, but just open that up, and there's your original file. Okay, so what we're going to do with this file is we're going to rename it. So click rename, so right click it, choose rename, and then select all of it, delete it, and hit paste in here. And now that file that was called whatever is now called exactly what the router is looking for. So what we did is to turn that firmware file to a file that the router can actually find. Okay, so we're going to go back here to the TFTP program that we're done here. Minimize this, and in here I'm just going to hit clear so that the log viewer is clear, and we can do it again. Now we need to tell the TFTP program where the files that we're serving out to that router are. So you do that by going to browse here, and then scrolling down to, well, over to downloads, to where we put it, and we put it in TP-Link, which is right there, and WR841 version 9, and the directory, you know, again, it treed out a little bit, but the root directory right here where the file is. So you have to point to where the file actually resides on your computer, which is right there. Highlight it, click on it, and then click OK. All right. Now, if you want to make sure you're in the right directory, then you just go back over here and you say show dir or dir. And then you see there's two files here. How to upgrade your TP-Link wireless router, PDF, that's the instructions. And this is the actual file name that we gave that firmware, which is the correct one. And here we just hit close, so we know we're in the right place. We know we have the file called exactly what it's looking for. So now what we're going to do is power down the router again, hold the reset button again, and then we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so what you do, reset, hold the reset button down, hit the power button. So I'll do that. You'll see the light starts to flash. 1, 2, 3, 4, and Boom. Right? It asked for the file, the TFTP servers gave it to it, and now it's saying, you know, sent. So at this point, the firmware file has been sent to the router, and the router is rebooting and setting itself up as a, you know, with that firmware and running. Okay, and I'll show you that, how you can check that after it's done. So we're still disconnected from the internet, so I'm going to open up a browser window here, and it's going to be on, in this case, on 192.168.0.1. okay, that's where the TP links generally end up, and we'll see what happens. Or maybe it's still booting itself up, we'll see. Make a liar out of me. Okay, let's, there we go. Just took a little bit. Okay, so there's TP-Link, and if you don't know this about the default password for these are usually admin, and I believe password, let's check it out. Admin and password. Okay, maybe it's not. Admin and admin. I'm sorry, I've been working with a lot of routers. Yeah, so the default password for TP-Link and username is admin, okay? And there we are. We're in. It's ready to go. I'm going to hit exit here, and you can see that I have the 104 revision firmware on here, which is what we put into it. We changed the name of it, but originally it was 104, and as you can see that it took that firmware. So that's, this one's rescued. Okay, so let's do this again, but for a different TP-Link router. Procedure, the mechanics are the same. So once again, that's the 841. So the next router we're going to do is TP-Link WR 940, I believe version 9. Actually, yeah, WR 940N. So just nice looking router. So procedure is exactly the same. Network setup is the same. So we don't need to change the network setup right now, but we do have to go get the firmware file. So let's go get the firmware file. So I'm going to turn my Wi-Fi back on again, however you get yours. Connect to my Wi-Fi and open up a browser window and just go to TP-Link, do a Google search for that, TP-Link. All right, there we go, and download center. And here we can put the model number in. It's WR940, whatever yours is. And there it is, TLWR940N. There's only one. But there's very many different versions. So you can see there's a V6 all the way to V1. Mine is a version 3. Again, check on the back of your router. Make sure you've got the right model number and the right version number, okay? So there's V3. If you have a V.31 or V9 point, what, it doesn't matter. It's still a V3, right? So here we're going to go to firmware. Like I said, make sure you're doing it. And one more thing here. Router firmware is country specific. So if you live in Canada, use the Canada website. If you live in the EU, we use the EU site, so on and so forth. Here I'm going to hit firmware. And you see there's a bunch. Of course, I'm going to take the oldest one, which is the 102 version US. Download. I'm going to download it. I'm not going to put it in the same directory. That would not be prudent, and that would be confusing. So I'm going down to downloads here. I'm going to create, I'm going to go to TP-Link. I'm going to create a new folder. This one's a WR940, what is it? Yes, N, and it is a version 3. So V3, enter, open that folder, dump that file in there. Okay, so step 1 done. We've got it. Next, I'm going to turn off the Wi-Fi here. We don't need to install TFTP server again. We already did that. So just watch that on how to do it. Turn off the Wi-Fi. You don't have to here we don't have to reconfigure the networking setup because it's exactly the same. And what I mean is if you look down here and you see the networking cables unplugged, but we know it's this Ethernet connection. We go to properties and then Internet Protocol version 4, TCP/IP v4. double click it, you see that we still have 192.168.0.66 and 255.255.255.0. That's perfect. That's exactly as it should be for all TP-Link routers. So we'll leave that alone and hit OK. Minimize this. Now we need to find out again, what file is this router looking for? It won't be named the same thing as the last one. So same procedure as last time. We're going to hit the reset button here and power it on at the same time. So hold down the reset button. This one's kind of tight, but hold down the reset button and make sure you're connected to your Ethernet LAN port, powered up, and in the other side into your computer. Hold down the reset, hit the power button. 1, 2, 3, 4, and let go. And you can see there, it's looking for a file. Of course, it's not finding it because we haven't told it where it is. So we're going to go through the same mechanics again. I'm going to hit copy on this, back to Notepad over here. Erase everything here, so Control A, delete, and here we're going to type in, we're just going to right click here and hit paste. I'll turn that router off right now because it doesn't really need to be on anymore. And then you get that all the jargon from the log viewer. But what matters here again is that read request for a file, and it tells you WR941 NDV6 TP underscore TP recovery.bin blah blah blah. There it is. Funny though that it says 941 and it's really a 940 model, but that's what it's looking for. So we just right click it, hit copy, go back to our file browser over here. We're going to go back to over here to TP-Link, the 940 version here, and you can see again it's a zip file, so we need to extract it. So let's do that. Yeah, open it up, and then you see it, and we're going to hit extract all, go with the defaults, right? Okay, close this window off, go back to our root directory, which was WR940N, and you can see it here, it did the exact same thing as it did last time. Double click it, and this one at least didn't tree out twice, but regardless, here it is. Here's the file we got, the bin file. We want to rename that file to that WR41 file that it was looking for. So right click it, choose rename, Control A selects everything, so you can do it that way or just slide it across and highlight it all. And here we're just going to right click and hit paste. And now we have the right recovery file for our router. Okay, there we go. So we're not quite done yet. Now we got to tell the TFTP program where that file is. So once again, we go here over to browse, and you can see that it's in the old one, the 841, but we want the 940 here. So open that up, open the next folder up, which is right as far as it'll go. Now again, it's just only showing you folders. So here we're going to hit OK. And if you want to make sure, again, always do, hit show directory. And you can see that that 941 NDV6 file is there in the folder. So we're in the right place, and the TFTP server is in the right folder. So here we're going to hit close. We'll clear this off. And now, same mechanics. We just tell the router to reboot, holding down the reset button for 4 or 5 seconds. And you'll see it happening. And as soon as you see it happening, take your finger off the reset button, of course. But you can count to 4 or 5 and it'll be fine. So holding down the reset button, hitting the power button. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There you go. Let it go. And you can see it quickly sent the file, right? It says sent 7938 blocks, right? And so it's done. This router should be rebooting. Let's see. Actually, I think I may have held that too long, but you saw the file transferring over, so it did. So yeah, there, it's rebooted because the LEDs turned off and are going to turn back on again. There we go. All right, so we'll wait for that a little bit. Now let's go take a look at it on the browser. At this point, we should be connected to it. Let's open up the file here, and let's go to the same place again, 192.168.0.1. Looks like it's up. We'll see. let's say when you're flashing a router, it does take a little bit. Sometimes it has to reboot a couple times. So there's the admin page for it. Again, username is admin, default, and admin, make sure you change this. And also when you're flashing these routers, maybe hit the reset button after you're done flashing it. Just when it's powered up, that'll reset the factory setup, but you shouldn't really have to. But if you have any problems, power up the router, hold the reset button down until it reboots, and then try again. So here we are. We're going to exit the quick setup. As you can see, it's a 940N. Weird, but there it is, 940N. It's the right file, version 3, and the build is the 102. So everything worked on this router. So now we're going to do it one more time. This time on the Archer C9, which is these are 2.4 gig routers, both of these. The C9 is a mixed 2.4 or 5 gig router. So let's unplug that. Here's my Archer C9, and typical router again. We'll plug into the LAN ports on it and make sure it's clicked in and locked. Power it up and go through the process. But right now I'm just setting it up. There's no difference in the configuration. So what we're going to do is go back to the download center. We got to turn on our internet here for me. Again, just go through the mechanics to show you that every single TP-Link router can work and be flashed or recovered this way, but each one of them has to be configured specifically for the bin file or it won't work. So that's the real trick in this video. So here we go, download center. We're going to go to Archer. Okay, let's see what happens when we start typing it. Oh, they got lots of those. C9, that's what we're looking for. Mine's a version 1. And look, they've gone to 5.8. Notice this says 5.8. So again, if you got a 5.8, use a 5.8 file. So here we're going to go to version 1. It's going to update. And go down to, let's see. Yeah, firmware. There we go. And again, always use the oldest one. I always do. And then, like I said, come back and update to the latest one after that. Like I said, I've had the best luck when that happens. So after upgrading to this firmware, this device cannot be downgraded back to the old version. Doesn't matter to me. Here we go. So we're going to click on download. And of course, this is a TP-Link Archer C9, so we can't put it in those folders. Let's create a new one. Archer C9 V1. There we go. Open that up and download that file. Okay, so we're done with the download. Again, it's a zip file. So let's go back to our file browser here. And then we're going to go to TP-Link under downloads. And of course the Archer C9. And as you can see, it's a zip file. So double click it, extract all, go with the defaults. There we go. So let's close this up. Go back to Archer C9 here, what we got. Same thing, subfolder. Again, go to the folder. And this one did folder out twice. So double click that and you can see your instructions. And here you can see the bin file, right? So again, with the C9, it's the same procedure. We need to find out what file it's looking for. Here we're going to click clear. Here we're going to go to, we have to, again, reconfigure the TFTP server to serve it out from the right folder. So go to browse, Archer C9, and it trees out down to the root folder with the bin file. Okay, so there it is. We're pointing to the right folder. Confirm that we're pointing to the right folder. Choose show directory. How to upgrade. There you go. It is. So close. There's the Archer bin file that we're going to rename, but not right now. Hit close. And okay, so same procedure again on the Archer. Turn the power on, hold the reset button for about 4 seconds. Let's see if I can show you that. So there it is. The antennas are off of this thing, but so hold down the reset button, turn it on. 1, 2, 3, 4. There you go. It tries to find the file, but it doesn't. It's weird on the Archer C9. It only looks for the file once. The other routers look multiple times. They keep trying, right? But this one only tries once. So, can't find it, can't do it. Okay, so let's copy what we got here so we can get the Archer bin file here that it's looking for. Copy. Okay, here Control A to select it all, delete. Right click to paste, or Control V if you want to do it that way. And you see the Archer file it's looking for is right here, Archer C9. So highlight it, copy it, make sure that you're only highlighting the actual text, not the brackets or parentheses or whatever is in at the end, the larger, smaller icons. We'll go back to our file folder, and there's our Archer C9. So under, I'll go back to downloads, TP-Link, Archer C9, there we go. And just tree down to where the bin file is. Right click that, choose rename, and again you can see hit Control A to highlight it all, and then Control V to paste it if you wish, or right click and choose paste, right? Either way it's the same, and there you go. We have the bin file named the right name that the router is looking for. So back to here, I'm going to clear the log viewer so we can see what happens. Again, we'll be holding the reset button and the powering it up. So hold the reset button up, turn it on, 1, 2, 3, 4. And there it's transferring the file. Now this router has a large firmware file, as you can see here. So it's going to take a bit. You can actually see the process on this one. The other ones are so fast you barely even see it. But it's requesting the file, it's downloading it to the router, and when it's done it's going to do a couple of reboots, and that takes time. So I'll wait for that. But as you can see here, and as you saw on the screen, it's been successfully sent. And of course, what we're looking for on it is going to be the version 1008 right here, as you can see. You know, the bin file is going to be 1008 at the end. So we'll wait for that to boot up. It's still going, I think. Take a little bit. Like I said, the Archer C9 is a robust and heavier duty router, and it actually weighs quite a bit. So let's go see, back to the browser. And you know, I forgot to turn off the Wi-Fi, so I'll do that now. It doesn't really all that matter, but just to keep from conflicts happening. So here we go back, and well, actually, I guess we'll just look at it on the web page. So it's going to be the same IP address always, 192.168.0.1. Enter. Still waiting. All right, it's back up again. You can see it here on the screen. Actually, the problem was a really specific and very, very cool one, because it's something that you should know about routers. This router, as you can see, it's beefy. It's very heavy. It uses quite a bit of juice or electricity. I had the wrong power supply plugged into it because I was using the one for the smaller routers. It wasn't quite enough to actually get it to boot properly, and so I got the right power supply, plugged it in, and now it's running just fine. But I got lucky because it actually took the flash, right, with the standard power supply. I got lucky. But a lot of people do that. A lot of these power jacks can plug into anything on your in your network, like like your router or your modem or something else you got lying down there, like an external drive or something. Make sure you got the right power supply plugged into it. In my case, the power supply on this router actually says TP-Link on it, so that's pretty good. But I mean, I got 3 of them, so it could be still 33% chance I'm wrong, and 66 or higher that I'm incorrect. But I got it. It's booted up, as you can see here on the screen. And again, same password, same username, admin, enter, and we're in. And if we go to, I think, to the advanced here, it'll tell us. There we go. Build, everything else. Doesn't look like it's correct, but it doesn't matter. It did take the firmware, it went through the mechanics, it did what it was supposed to do, and it flashed up the right firmware package for it. Now, this Archer C9 is a tricky router. I have a whole bunch of other videos on how to recover it, and from DDWRT and so on and so forth, because it's, you know, if you're lucky, this procedure will work for you, but not always it's going to happen. So if you got the Archer C9 and you can't get it recovered, look at the rest of my router videos and find the brick recovery videos, and I'll have a lot on the Archer C9 and how to actually get it running again. I love the router. It works great, and it works really well with the stock firmware and with DD-WRT. Up to you how you use it. Okay, so that's my video. That's how you recover, or the default way to recover any TP-Link router. Follow those procedures for whatever TP-Link router you have, especially the file naming procedure where you find out which file it is and then rename the file to what it's looking for and show the program TFTP where it is, and off you go. So follow the directions, including the network setup. Don't bypass that. I almost went out here without resetting the network, so let's just go back to the network preferences. So down here to your icon, you can turn on Wi-Fi now if you wish. I'm going to turn my router off. Here we go. And turn my Wi-Fi back on. So as you can see instantly, turn the Wi-Fi back on. Right click the network icon, go to open network and settings. So sorry, network and internet settings over there. Then we're going to go to Ethernet. Change adapter options. Back to Ethernet here. It doesn't matter that it's unplugged. Just right click it, choose properties. Go back to Internet Protocol version 4, TCP/IP v4 right here. Double click it. Change the radio button to obtain IP address automatically, obtain DNS server address automatically. Hit OK and OK. And that's set back to its default setting. And now basically just close stuff off, and we're you know, done for this video. Now, if you like this video and helped you out in some way, do me a huge favor, give me a thumbs up at the bottom down here. Also, if you want to see more videos like this from me, or more videos from me, subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell when you're doing that. That way you get notified every time I put up a new video. I appreciate that a lot. It means a lot to me that you guys subscribe and watch my videos. And also the comments section below, any comments you have, any suggestions, video suggestions especially, I appreciate those, because I love making content, and if it's something that I see as you know, needed, I'll make a video, and I have made videos from video suggestions from people just like you. And like I said, anything else that you want to put down on the bottom of the video, just comment. I do read them. I do respond to them regularly, so I appreciate your feedback for sure. Also in the video description below, please use the links that I post there for equipment that I use in this video, including the on-the-go and devices like these, and the Ethernet to USB adapter if you need one. Again, video description below, paid links. As I said, doesn't cost you anything, but it helps fund my efforts here on YouTube. I appreciate that greatly. Once again, and like always, take care of yourself. Have a great day, and thanks for watching.